I wasn't supposed to hear the phone call. I was standing in my own kitchen when my husband laughed and said something so cold. Forgot how to breathe. By the time he hung up, I knew my marriage was already over. We'd been married 16 years. 16 years of shared keys, shared dreams, shared children. So when I heard my husband say, "She has no idea what's coming," I knew this wasn't just about another woman. This was about something he'd been planning, something that would leave me with nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't confront him. I stood there listening, as the man I trusted most explained how he was going to erase my life. Before we continue, I'll be so happy if you subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. My name is Rachel. I'm 41 years old. And this is the story of how one overheard phone call unraveled 16 years of marriage and revealed a betrayal so deep, it still takes my breath away. But here's what nobody tells you about betrayal. It's not always loud. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind morning kisses and anniversary dinners. And sometimes the person who promised to protect you is the one planning your destruction. Daniel and I met in college. I was studying elementary education. He was in business. We were young, optimistic, full of dreams that felt bigger than the cramped apartment we shared after graduation. Everyone said we were perfect together. I was the steady one, the nurturer, the woman who believed in building a home, not just a house. Daniel was ambitious, driven, always reaching for the next promotion, the next achievement. When he started his own consulting firm 8 years into our marriage, I supported him completely. I took care of everything at home. Our 2 daughters, Lily and Emma. The meals. The school runs. The homework. The bedtime stories. I didn't mind. I thought we were a team. Looking back now, I can see the signs I ignored. The late nights that became later. The business trips that seemed to multiply. The way his phone was always face down on the table. The passwords that suddenly changed. But I trusted him. That's what you do when you love someone, right? You trust them. You believe in them. Even when that little voice in your head whispers that something isn't right. I pushed that voice away. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, unreasonable. After all, Daniel worked hard. He provided for us. He came home every night, even if it was past midnight. He kissed me on the forehead every morning before he left. How could I question that? How could I doubt 16 years of marriage? The truth is, I couldn't. Until the day I accidentally overheard a conversation that wasn't meant for my ears. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September. The girls were at soccer practice. I had come home early from my part-time teaching job because of a staff meeting cancellation. I pulled into the driveway and saw Daniel's car already there. Strange. He usually didn't get home until after 6. I walked into the house quietly, not wanting to startle him. That's when I heard his voice coming from his home office. The door was slightly ajar. First I thought nothing of it. He was on a business call. Normal. Routine. But then I heard him laugh. And something about that laugh made me stop in the hallway. It wasn't his professional laugh. It was intimate. Familiar. My heart started beating faster. I told myself I was being ridiculous. But my feet wouldn't move. I stood there frozen listening. "I know, baby," he said. "Just a little longer. I promise." Baby. The word hit me like a punch to the stomach. "She doesn't suspect anything," he continued. "Everything's going exactly as planned. My lawyer says we should be able to finalize everything by November." The room started spinning. I pressed my hand against the wall to steady myself. "The business is in my name," Daniel said, his voice calm, almost cheerful. "The house is mortgaged to the max. She won't get much. And honestly, she's too naive to even see it coming. She'll be devastated, sure, but she'll survive. She always does. She's the strong one, remember?" He laughed again. That same cold laugh. My legs went weak. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor, my back pressed against the hallway wallpaper we'd chosen together 5 years ago. The same wallpaper I'd been so excited about. The same house we'd bought together. The same life we'd built together. Or so I thought. "I can't wait to finally be with you without all the sneaking around," Daniel said. "This has been the longest year of my life." But it'll be worth it. She'll be out of the picture soon and we can start fresh. Just you and me. I didn't cry. Not yet. The shock was too great for tears. I just sat there, listening to my husband discuss dismantling my life like it was a business transaction. Cold. Calculated. Efficient. Listen, I have to go, Daniel said. Rachel should be home soon. Yeah, I know. Love you too. The call ended. I heard him sigh. Then his office chair creaked. I scrambled to my feet and walked quickly to the kitchen, trying to look normal, trying to breathe. By the time Daniel walked in, I was standing at the sink, washing vegetables for dinner I no longer wanted to cook. Hey, he said, walking up behind me. He kissed the top of my head. Didn't know you'd be home early. I couldn't look at him. Staff meeting was canceled, I managed to say. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Oh, nice, he said, grabbing a bottle of water from the fridge. What's for dinner? I turned slowly to face him. He looked the same. Same brown eyes. Same easy smile. Same man I'd woken up next to for 16 years. Except he wasn't. He was a stranger wearing my husband's face. That night, I lay in bed next to him, staring at the ceiling. He was asleep within minutes. Peaceful. Content. Meanwhile, my mind was racing, replaying every word I'd heard. She doesn't suspect anything. Everything's going exactly as planned. She won't get much. The worst part wasn't even the betrayal. It was the realization that this had been going on for a year. Maybe longer. A year of lies. A year of planning. A year of him coming home, kissing me, playing with our daughters, all while secretly orchestrating my downfall. How do you process that? How do you reconcile the man you thought you knew with the man who could do something so cruel? I couldn't confront him. Not yet. I needed to think. To plan. To understand the full scope of what he was doing. The next morning I called in sick to work. After Daniel left and the girls were at school, I went into his office. My hands were shaking as I turned on his computer. I knew his password. He'd never changed it. Why would he? I was too naive to ever check. Too trusting. Too blind. I spent hours going through files, emails, bank statements. What I found made me physically ill. He'd been transferring money out of our joint accounts for months, putting it into accounts I didn't even know existed. He'd taken out loans against the house without my knowledge. He'd been paying for luxury hotel stays, expensive dinners, jewelry I'd never seen. And the emails. God, the emails. Her name was Natalie. She was a consultant he'd hired for his business 18 months ago. Young. Beautiful. Ambitious. The emails between them started professional. Then friendly. Then flirtatious. Then explicit. I read them all, my stomach churning with each one. But it was the emails to his lawyer that destroyed me. He'd been planning this divorce for over a year. Every detail calculated. Every asset protected. Every loophole exploited. He was going to leave me with almost nothing. And he was going to make sure our daughters spent most of their time with him, not because he loved them more, but because it would reduce his child support payments. This wasn't a man who'd fallen out of love. This was a man who'd systematically planned to financially destroy his wife while pretending everything was fine. I printed everything. Every email. Every bank statement. Every receipt. I made copies and hid them in a safe deposit box at a bank across town. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus, a former police detective who specialized in marital cases. I told him everything I'd found. I showed him the evidence. This is good, Marcus said, reviewing the documents. Really good. Your husband made a mistake. He documented everything. That's going to help you tremendously. Help me how? I asked. These emails prove intent to defraud, Marcus explained. He's been systematically hiding assets and planning to leave you in financial ruin. That's not just grounds for divorce. In some jurisdictions, this could be considered financial abuse. A judge won't look kindly on this. For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. But Marcus wasn't done. I'm going to follow him for the next 2 weeks. Document his meetings with this Natalie. Get photographic evidence of the affair. The more ammunition we have, the better your position in court. I nodded. Do whatever you need to do. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I smiled at Daniel every morning, made his coffee the way he liked it, asked about his day, laughed at his jokes, all while knowing exactly what he was doing, exactly who he was meeting, exactly how he was planning to betray me. Some nights I'd lie in bed next to him and want to scream, want to shake him awake and demand to know how he could do this, how he could look our daughters in the eyes while planning to tear their family apart. But I stayed silent, because I was learning something important. Silence can be a weapon too. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is wait, watch, plan, and let your enemy think they've already won. 2 weeks later, Marcus called me. I have everything we need, he said. Photos, videos, timestamps. Your husband and Natalie have been meeting at the Riverside Hotel every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. I asked him to send me everything. That evening I made Daniel's favorite dinner. Pot roast with roasted vegetables, homemade rolls, apple pie for dessert. The girls were at a sleepover at my sister's house. It was just the two of us. Daniel walked in surprised. Wow, he said, smiling. What's the occasion? No occasion, I said calmly. Just wanted to do something nice. We ate dinner making small talk. He told me about a difficult client. I nodded and asked questions like I always did. After dessert, I poured him a glass of his favorite whiskey and sat down across from him at the dining room table. Daniel, I said, we need to talk. He looked up slightly wary. About what? I slid a manila envelope across the table. About Natalie. The color drained from his face. His hand froze halfway to his whiskey glass. I don't know what you're talking about, he said, but his voice wavered. Open the envelope. He stared at it like it might explode. Slowly, he reached for it and pulled out the contents. Photos of him and Natalie at the hotel. Printouts of their emails. Bank statements showing the hidden accounts. Legal documents from his lawyer outlining his divorce strategy. His hands were shaking. Rachel, I can explain. Can you? I asked, my voice eerily calm. Can you explain how you've been planning to destroy my life for over a year? Can you explain how you've been stealing from your own family? Can you explain how you could look our daughters in the eyes every day while planning to tear their world apart? He opened his mouth but no words came out. I heard you, I continued. 2 weeks ago. On the phone with her. Talking about how naive I am. How I don't suspect anything. How I won't get much in the divorce. Tears were streaming down his face now. Rachel, please. I made a mistake. I didn't mean. You didn't mean to get caught, I said. That's different. He reached for my hand across the table. I pulled away. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I've already filed for divorce. My lawyer has copies of everything in that envelope. We also have 18 months of financial records showing you systematically hiding assets and committing financial fraud. A judge is going to be very interested in that. Daniel's face went from pale to gray. You can't do this, he whispered. I already did. But the business, the house, everything's in my name. Everything's in your name because you forged my signature, I said. That's also in the documents. My lawyer says that's fraud. You're looking at more than just a divorce, Daniel. You're looking at potential criminal charges. He stood up abruptly, knocking his chair backward. You're bluffing. Am I? I remained seated, calm. Try me. We stared at each other across the table. Two people who used to share everything now separated by an ocean of betrayal and lies. Finally he spoke. What do you want? I want everything you tried to take from me, I said. The house. Fair distribution of all assets including the ones you hid. Full custody of the girls with you paying child support. And I want you out of this house tonight. Rachel, please. Think about the girls. I am thinking about the girls, I said. I'm thinking about how their father was willing to financially destroy their mother. I'm thinking about the example that sets. And I'm thinking about how they deserve better. The divorce took 8 months. It wasn't easy. Daniel fought me every step of the way. But the evidence was overwhelming. The judge was not sympathetic to a man who'd systematically planned to defraud his wife. I got the house. I got fair distribution of the assets. I got primary custody of the girls. Daniel got supervised visitation and a child support payment that actually reflected his real income, not the one he tried to hide. Natalie left him 3 months after everything came out. Turns out she wasn't interested in a man who'd lost everything and had a fraud investigation hanging over his head. Funny how that works. The girls struggled at first. They were angry with me for divorcing their father. They didn't understand why. When they were old enough, I explained, not with anger but with truth. I showed them that sometimes the people we love most can hurt us deepest. But I also showed them something else. That we don't have to accept that hurt. That we can be strong. That we can protect ourselves. That silence and trust are not the same as weakness. Today, 3 years later, I'm rebuilding my life. I went back to school and got my master's degree in education. I'm now the assistant principal at the elementary school where I used to teach part-time. The girls are thriving. They understand now, in the way that teenagers can, what really happened. They've lost some respect for their father, and that breaks my heart for them. But they've also gained respect for me. For my strength. For my resilience. For my refusal to be a victim. I've learned something important through all of this. Betrayal doesn't just happen. It's built. Day by day. Lie by lie. Hidden transaction by hidden transaction. And the person being betrayed isn't naive or stupid for not seeing it. They're human. They're trusting. They're believing in something that should be sacred. Marriage. Partnership. Love. But here's the other thing I learned. The thing that maybe saved me. When you finally see the truth, when that mask falls away and you see the person for who they really are, you have a choice. You can crumble. You can accept it. You can become the victim they expected you to be. Or you can fight back. Not with anger. Not with revenge. But with quiet, calculated determination. You can protect yourself. Document everything. Build your case. And when the time is right, you can stand up and say no more. That's what I did. And I won't lie to you. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. There were nights I cried until I couldn't breathe. Mornings I didn't want to get out of bed. Moments I wanted to give up. But I didn't. Because my daughters were watching. Because I deserved better. Because the life I thought I had deserved to be grieved, but the life I was going to build deserved to be fought for. Some people have asked me if I regret not confronting him sooner. If I regret those 2 weeks of pretending everything was fine while I gathered evidence. My answer is always the same. No. Because if I had confronted him that day in the kitchen, raw and emotional, he would have had time to hide more assets. To create more lies. To position himself as the victim of an unstable, suspicious wife. Instead, I was strategic. I was smart. I used his arrogance against him. And in the end, that made all the difference. I'm not the same woman I was 3 years ago. That woman trusted too easily. She silenced her instincts. She prioritized peace over truth. This woman, the one I've become, she listens to that quiet voice. She asks questions. She investigates. She protects herself and her children. Not because she's bitter or hardened, but because she's wise. There's a difference. If you're watching this and something feels wrong in your relationship, listen to that feeling. Don't dismiss it. Don't gaslight yourself. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. And if you discover the worst, if you find out that the person you trusted has betrayed you, know this. You are stronger than you think. You can survive this. You can rebuild. You can become someone even better than you were before. Because betrayal doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. The most dangerous betrayals don't announce themselves. They whisper. They hide. They smile at you over morning coffee while planning your downfall. Daniel taught me that. And while I hate what he did, while I hate what he put me and our daughters through, I'm grateful for one thing. He taught me to trust myself. To listen to that voice. To never again silence my instincts in the name of keeping the peace. That lesson, as painful as it was to learn, may be the most valuable gift I've ever received. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. And remember, your story doesn't have to end the way someone else wrote it. You can take back the pen. You can rewrite the ending. I did. And if I can do it, so can you. See you next week. And please let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love hearing from all of you from around the world. If this story resonated with you in any way, please hit the like button. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. And subscribe to our channel.